Hello and welcome to all my beautiful listeners. My name is Larissa Sowen and I am the host of this podcast called I Wrote That. Today I have an amazing guest, Elian. She is the author of 60 Miles from Neiman's. She is a TV show host of Elian's Joy, an international motivational speaker, and an award-winning presenter. So well qualified here. Elian is the Fowler International Life Coach and Master Trainer and a yoga studio and private practice in Texas. She has always focused on helping people with a niche experience in the midlife, the transformational coaching, and really helping as many clients with anxiety, depression, PTSD, trauma, addiction as she can. So her signature keynotes really leave the audience with questions and answers, brought with a flair for entertainment and a zest for life. And of course, she's an amazing author. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Larissa. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that way too long introduction. I appreciate it. Oh, wonderful. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So your book, 60 Miles from Neiman's, came out, you said, back in September.
September last year.
Yeah. How was the launching process for you?
It was complicated till the last minute. And first time author here, so the writing process started. It's a biography, and the writing process started when I found a time, and we were empty nesters, and I was gonna dedicate my time to writing what I had done for a long time. But it was, it was in my mind. I was ready. So I was ready after a couple of months. The writing went great. It is a biography, like I said, autobiography with life coaching outcome, right? With endings of what did I learn and why the heck. I mean, I knew this, but I didn't do it. Life lessons learned kind of thing. And then the process started of, going to a big house and to publish your book or do it yourself. I didn't know much about do it yourself. Many people had talked about that, but I was still thinking the old way, like you just have to have a publisher and distribution is important. So I went through 3 different companies, and that was a kind of a dragging, complicated, difficult process for me. Ultimately, I had enough people around me that highly recommended just do it yourself. So ultimately, I went to Amazon and went to publish my books myself. But definitely a learning process, somewhat complicated. Some people will say, "Oh, Amazon is just easy, just put it out there." But I was still thinking the old-fashioned way. So I thought I needed to have the distribution. And yes, I need to. So it's a give and take, absolutely.
Yeah. And just for, the folks that are listening, there's kind of 3 styles of publishing. There's the traditional publishing where a publishing house, you usually find them through a literary agent. They buy the rights to your book and they typically give you a payout. And then they own the rights of your books for the next 10, 15 years. You collect very minimal royalties, and the publishing house and the literary agent take the bulk of your royalties. And then there's kind of a hybrid publishing, which is kind of what you're describing. It sounds like you find a publishing house, you put up some financial money to help pay for editors, cover design, all of that fun stuff, but they help you with the distribution and the marketing. And then there's the true self-publishing where you do it all yourself. You find a platform like Amazon or Ingram Spark, or there's Lulu, and you provide the book, the cover art, the editing, all of that comes out of your pocket. And it's so interesting to hear you say that you had the option to go hybrid and chose to go indie, because I did the same thing with my first book. I did hybrid. And then my second book, I said, no way am I doing that again. I want true indie publishing. So what was it about indie that kind of drew you in?
Ultimately, yes, very true. It was hybrid publishing companies. I knew the first option was out, right? Because it is not a biography and I don't want to give away the rights to my story. The hybrid publishers, wonderful, nice publishing houses. good communication, but it was gonna cost me money. And at the same time, in a sense, also they wanted to edit some here and there, and I was not really into that because I thought this is my story. You can switch chapters around. But secondly, at the same time, I found some author friends. I was not really into author groups or author support systems. And I found some other people. One of my friends has been on your show, Deborah Blaine from New York, and we became good friends and we started talking. And Deborah has her fourth book on the way. So she said, girl, just if you want to try to do it yourself, it is ultimately a better option. I've been through all as well. And I just got the same, not just Deborah, I just got the same stories from several people that loved the publishing houses they had worked with. So nothing bad there. But it was ultimately going to be, more of a challenge, but more often, financial win if you would do it yourself, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
all nicely said,
Yeah.
right? So I just want to try to get this thing pushed through, and and that's what I did. Yeah. So it was. I had to look, of course, for a good cover art. I learned that through those support groups as well, just talking about it, just finding out. At some point, I had way too much information because I started doing every single course out there about publishing your book that is available. Uh, Spending about the same amount of money that I never wanted to spend. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta know this, but I'm in the system now. I'm here. I'm in. And it's exciting. It's very exciting. First months were good. In November, I entered a contest and I won in November the Global Book Award,
Mm.
silver award for in the autobiography section.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. So it's
amazing.
very exciting. Yes.
That is very exciting. So your book is autobiography style, but you put a spin on it with the life coaching that's your career, that's your profession. How did you find business overlapped with the personal? How did you manage those two?
Basically, just telling my story really led to how in the world did I know all this, but I didn't really apply it to my life? Did I really have to grow up? And now I'm considered an adult, and now I have this wisdom that I didn't apply when I was younger. Somebody had told me, or sometimes I mention in the book fun things like, I wish that somebody would have told me, um, you know. But then again, I'm glad I don't, that it didn't happen, because now I have gathered the life lessons that I really needed to gather. And the quote in the book, back of the book, and what I use a lot with my clients is that, life doesn't get easier, you just get better at it. And that was so how I used it in the book, was just telling my story, and then kind of like, oh wow, really? And then just kind of putting the happy spin on it. So this is what I learned and this is what I do and did with it. So it really offers the audience, the readers, it really offers them um, a way of seeing the mistakes through a trauma timeline. I work with trauma patients and clients for a long time in addiction recovery. And if you see why you're making mistakes in life or why you did certain things, and if that becomes clear, you have that awareness, you have that transparency towards the past, then a lot of things become easier and more and clear, right? You get that clarity that
Mhm.
that you thought you had, but you didn't.
Yeah.
So, and I wrote about that, very honest and open, in a sense of, wow, I mean, the subtitle is From Expectation to Transformation. For instance, growing up with things that you really want to do to make your parents happy, but it is not you.
Hmm.
Or things that you really do to make your family happy and your husband happy, but it's not you. So
Hmm.
how do you go ultimately to that transformation? And that's what I help people with in my practice. So with my clients, I talk about, the ultimate. I'm a transformational coach, transformation coach, at midlife. So where am I? What have I done? What is my legacy? That kind of
Hmm.
thing.
And your title, it has meaning. Your title has meaning. It has, like, it's deep rooted in you. Talk about how Did the title come first or did the book come? How did that work out for you?
Both. Well, I knew that I was going to write, and a good friend at the time, a long time ago actually, was my coach in the entertainment industry, and I just kind of dabbed in the my feet in the film and entertainment world for a while, production and acting and stuff. So she was my coach, and she became a very good friend. And I moved away from Dallas, and Dallas is well known being the city that has the headquarters for Neiman Marcus. And Neiman Marcus, for all my foreign listeners, is one of the most established fashion houses and warehouses in the United States, right? One of the oldest and class and expense and beauty and luxury goods. And not that I shop there, but she always said, "Oh, you moved so far away from the city, and you moved so far away from Neiman's, and I don't see you anymore." So she knew that I was also writing, and she was very much encouraging that. She passed a couple of years later. She passed away, and she was a very good friend. Lee was a very good friend. I mentioned her in my book, and I just wanted to make a tribute to her, right? By having that title, like, you moved so far away, you live south of the big city, and you don't come in anymore. And yeah, so I just really wanted to do honor her as a friend and a wonderful lady that saw in me what I didn't see at the time. She
Mm,
believed in me what I didn't see. So she was a big influence on that
mm.
aspect of my life.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I think that's something so powerful, especially in like memoirs and autobiographies, the reflection that you do, the heart that goes into it, the soul that you literally pour into these pages. It's different than a piece of fiction work or even a business book. It's just, it feels different. I'm working on my own memoir right now, and it's taking me, probably 10 times longer than any other book I've written, just because there's so much emotion that goes into it and trying to say it your way. And it's different than trying to say it the right way. Cause kind of what you said, like your publishers came in and they wanted to tweak it and change it, but that's not your way. That's
Right.
their version of the right way, which is different. That's really cool. You did work with a writing coach when you went through this process. How was that for you?
I sure did. And Meg was amazing. Meg Calvin was my writing coach. She was amazing. She has the experience. She wrote a few books herself, and she is a professional coach as well. And I didn't know that I needed that help, but I certainly needed it because I had set my mind to writing and starting, and I had given myself this time frame next to the busy work week and the usual things. So I had to block out a time, and it certainly helped me in the first place with accountability. Secondly, with how to set up even if it's your story, how to set it up and, draw the writers in, not let them drop the book after 3 chapters because it
Mhm.
is not interesting anymore. How to keep your audience engaged. And she kept me certainly, of course, accountable and on a certain pace. In a sense, so we want to do this in this time frame, so we have to have so many words a week, if possible. Sit down for it and do it. So there was a lot of accountability and a lot of feedback on not the story, but I wanted. So she really respected what I wanted to tell, my story, but she was very good at saying, you, you know, take that back a little bit or twist it a little bit. And especially because I write as I talk, so I'm still a foreigner, and so there was sometimes things that people can hear it in the book. They can really hear it if they know me. Oh, that's you talking, right? Sometimes in the storyline and in the way the sentence flows. But on the other hand, there had definitely had, to be some corrections made and some guidance. So I really liked working with somebody that helped me do that and had an overview of how a book starts and a book ends and
Mhm.
how to format that. So I had no idea.
Mhm.
I just wanted to write.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like what you talked about when you decide to write a book. There's kind of two people. There's the people that just want to wing it and go for it and see what happens. And then there's the people that need to know everything about the process. And if you're in the need to know everything process, it can kind of be like what you talked about in learning the self-publishing world is you can get bombarded with information. There are literally millions of ways out there to write a book. And finding a coach that you click with is they're going to be able to filter that into something that's usable for you. They're going to give you an option. If that option doesn't work, they're going to give you another one. And you're going to kind of work until you find one that does work for you, all while being held accountable, having a sounding board, helping you through writer's block, all of that fun stuff that comes with writing a book. So that's really cool. Yeah, I as a writing coach myself, I see firsthand when the people come in and they're like, I have no idea where to start. And then all of a sudden, 6 weeks later, they have a full book. And it's just, this transformation is amazing. So that's really cool. So you have a really interesting question that you submitted to me, and I want to get to it. But why do women want their sexy back? It's totally off topic, but I love the question. Tell me about that.
You have to write, you have to read that book. Yes. So it was one of the things that I have with patients. Well, I worked with patients for about 10 years in a recovery setting, and worked on anxiety and worked on the mind, body, spirit thing, right from meditation and yoga to coaching. But the most important thing that I always found was that people were really just not feeling it physically, even moving forward, and even giving a lot of exercises, tips, tools, breakthrough trauma, move forward. I always kept saying, you really have to move with your trauma and move through your story and move forward. But that became really important for me to teach people to do that physically as well. And not just in recovery, to have exercise and fitness as one of the most important things to heal, right? To find your strength back. But so it started there. If you are not feeling good, do something physical, exercise, get outside, walk, so that you feel physically stronger, and then you are emotionally and mentally better supported if you feel better. And ultimately, that became my saying, get your sexy back, because a lot of people, moved through that with me and felt that if the body feels good, if you can feel you're sexy, whatever that is, right? So it's for everybody different. And you look in the mirror in the morning, and you have done a little bit of walking, or you're standing up straight, and you got your fun colors on. That helps, even on the worst days of depression or anxiety. If you don't want to get out of bed, if you put your sexy on in the morning, that helps mentally, that helps your mindset, that helps emotionally, feeling a little bit better. Even if you have an awful day, then people will still come up to you and say, oh, you look cute today. And that just bing, that kind of works. So that whole integration of thinking and feeling and putting your body in there became really important in recovery, and it became really important in my life coaching practice, to feel and to be aware of. It's the same as working trauma informed. So I worked trauma informed yoga for years, and exercise, and just knowing that people have their places that they have to become friends with again, right, in their body, and just kind of feeling that awareness, and creating that awareness and mindfulness is really important in feeling emotionally and mentally more stable.
I think that's so important for authors too, because I know when I wrote my first book, I was in a dark spot, just kind of like what you're talking about. I was anxious, I was depressed, it was all of these terrible, terrible black things. And I substituted everything for writing. I started writing like 6 hours a day for about 8 weeks, and I wrote my whole novel. But at the same time, it helped me a lot. I recovered, like it was phenomenal to go through the process of healing through writing. But I lost that kind of physical aspect of it. Instead of going for walks, I would write. Instead of doing my workouts, I would write. And so coming back to it, the second time I wrote my book, it was a lot slower because I was working full time again, but I didn't forego the physical aspect of it, because writing is hard on your body. You're sitting, your wrist can get, I'm literally wearing a wrist brace right now. It's physically taxing if you're not set up the right way. And those walks and those breaks and that movement is so good for your body, for your creative mind, all of that stuff. So if you're looking for ways to find the time to write your book, I encourage you not to take the movement out of your routine. And I am guessing that's very similar to what you would say.
Absolutely. And I think that it's also one of my keynotes. And then one of my keynote speeches is called The Slouch on the Couch. And that is entirely about pain management, the problems that we now have, over medicated, over stressed, over anxious, right? Over everything,
Mhm.
society, because we do sit too much, we don't pay enough attention to working out, we do have a lot of slouches on the couches. And so for that matter, that was one of the pain management things that I did for years, talking about that, because the easy way out is to call the doctor if you have back pain, and the easy way out is taking another pill or just sit down and eat a bag of chips, right?
Mhm.
So for that matter, if we just pay attention to that feel good and get physically back in shape, we have we have less issues, honestly. And there's so much that I talk about, so many people in the business with me on that know that we don't need that spinal clinic necessarily if we do some yoga, some stretching, some mind body stuff first.
Mhm.
That makes us feel aware of where the pain is, and maybe we can heal it because we just said too much and we
Mhm.
just been sitting, right? And especially with writing, I did that. So what I started to do, and what I do right now, is I stand up. And I stand up a lot when I speak, or when I do interviews, or when I'm hosting something. I do stand up because that makes me just feel, I move around, it just makes me feel better than sitting down all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
So the stand-up desk, right?
Yeah. I
Okay,
have one.
okay.
I do all of my live interviews standing up because it changes your energy too. Like
Yes,
it changes the tone of your voice, it changes your confidence, your posture. All of it comes with just changing your body positioning. Totally. I love that.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm gonna ask you one more question. Two more questions. I lied. Two more questions. What advice do you have for aspiring authors?
Do it today. I have a lot of authors that tell me, I want to write a book, I want to write a book, I want to write a book. A lot of friends, a lot of people now in some support groups, just reaching out, hearing more. I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it today to start. Because we are always procrastinating, and procrastination is something I know from the past that doesn't help. You just have to do it. So just like with your exercise, not next Monday, no, today. Just do it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Just make a start.
That's my number one advice today ever is just start. Just put
Just do it.
something down on paper. I
Yep.
love that.
Yep.
Do you have any freebies or anything you want to offer our listeners?
Absolutely. So today I started a promotion for 2 weeks on Amazon for my ebook. And today, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. It dropped to $2.99. So that started today as a happy Valentine's thing, $2.99 on Amazon, 60 miles from Neiman's. Then beside that, I have a pain management handout as well, and that is free on my website, elianhaan.com.
Perfect. And we'll drop the link to that in the show notes. You'll be able to grab it there. I'm
I
just going
would
to
love
pause
to
for a
offer something more, Larissa, today. I'm thinking about it. I always do at the end. I always give a free coaching session. Absolutely.
Okay.
And if people go to my link tree, first link, schedule your session. They just have to
Perfect.
they just have to mention that they were listening to your show.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you.